the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Rob McIntyre and Trace Armstrong. We're here to discuss the Challenge Double Agents episode 16. We also have some news that we would like to announce.
Big news
good
at
news. None of us are leaving the show, so it's not bad news in that way. I feel like a lot of the time whenever podcasts make a title of like big announcement in the title, it's
MTV's finally given me a role as executive producer, so I'm no longer allowed to appear on any challenge related content.
So
oh yeah, and for all you ladies out there, Rob is still single, so you don't have to worry about that either.
So Tony from Sexes will be coming on to join the show and be the third member once Rob leaves. So the real announcement is that we are starting a Patreon. We talked about this for a while. I think there were a couple motivations for this. One is we didn't want to lose money on this anymore. All three of us. I feel like I'm definitely not speaking for myself, but like we all love doing this. But there are some like not insignificant costs associated with this. And we felt that this was one way that we could kind of offset that. I would say that's the more minor reason why we decided to do this, because at this point we've done this for close to 3 years now at this point, and we appreciate everyone that's been with us that whole time, and even the new people that have been able to jump on board too. Like it's been a lot of fun to do. So the real second big reason, I think the main reason why we decided to do this, is so that we could provide more value to all of the people that follow this show. And two, I guess the third reason is I in no way, shape, or form wanted to put ads on the podcast. That's just not something that I wanted to do. And I think this is kind of like a good compromise. And in each of the tiers that we set up, we feel that they're pretty affordable, right? And we spent a lot of time talking about kind of how we wanted to price each of the tiers and what should go into each of them. And I think we're definitely going to be able to provide a lot of value to everyone that listens. And if you don't think so, send me a message, give me your feedback. I think that's something that we all do very good, is that like whenever we receive criticism about this, like we definitely take it hard. You know what I mean? Especially the people that have been listening to this the whole time. I think we definitely want to just be able to do our best for you. So if you go to Trace, where can they find this on Patreon? What's the best way for them to get to this?
Right this second, as you listen to this, you can go to patreon.com/The Challenge Chronicles. Sometime in the next 3 days, thechallengechronicles.com will point directly to the Patreon, but that is not live yet because I haven't repointed the domain. So for now, as of this episode, as you're listening, go to patreon.com/The Challenge Chronicles.
All right. So to go over the different tiers that we have set up, the bottom lower tier that we have set up, the introductory tier, is called the Rule Police, of course, as you would expect. It's priced at $4 a month, which, I mean, I feel like that's pretty affordable, right? That's like the price for like half a burrito. I think
costs less than a venti latte.
Very reasonable, especially for people. One of the reasons why we also decided to do this is because like a lot of the content that we provide, especially like the actual Chronicles episodes that go over past seasons, we put a lot of time and effort into that. Like I go back and like do detailed notes of all of the episodes. We go through them step by step, and a lot of the episodes turn out to be Rob, like 2 to 3 hours sometimes.
Oh, at least.
Oh, I mean there are some that went over 3 hours.
Sunday? It was like, I mean, that was technical difficulties as well, as you might expect, but like 5 hours, 6 hours?
Oh yeah, the amount of time that went into Dual Tool Part 1 just for Trace, this doesn't include these guys, was 6.5 hours, and we didn't even edit the show because of the technical difficulties. So we had to record it in 3 different parts, and I then had to do some technical wizardry to resuscitate the video so that we didn't have to re-record the entire show. So, these guys put in, I think, 4 or 5 hours for the recording, and then I spent another hour and a half just trying to resuscitate everything. Thankfully, we have the audio, we have the video. It's going to be on the feed as soon as possible for the Patreons. And we should note that the public feed is not going away. If you don't want to join the Patreon, the Chronicles shows will make their way to the public feed, but it's going to take longer. Whereas as soon as we're done with a Chronicles show on Patreon, the Patreons will get it immediately as soon as we're done editing it.
I guess we should say that, right? So we're still going to be producing publicly available content. We still plan to do recaps of Double Agents every week that everyone can listen to, regardless of whether or not they're part of our Patreon. And you'll still be able to go to all the usual places that you normally do to find that content. As far as the Chronicles episodes, so for example, Duel 2, which we recorded on Sunday, which I do think is probably our best Chronicles episode that we've done. Just now that we're more in the swing of everything and have more time doing this, we do plan to release that on the public feed at some point. When that is, who knows? It could be 6 months from now. It could be even longer. We'll see. But
it will definitely be after Double Agents wraps up. Okay. So this isn't going on in the next 5 to 6 weeks. Okay. So if you're on the public feed and you're excited about Duel 2, it's going to be like end of May, probably, before Duel 2.
Yeah. So if you want to get access to Duel 2 like today, right now, you can go to our Patreon, sign up, and as part of both of the tiers, you'll be able to have it. So to keep going over the $4 tier, the Rule Police tier, you get all of the Chronicles, all the historical Chronicles episodes. You get early access to new ones that show up, like the Duel 2. I guess we should say that. So all of the Chronicles episodes have been removed from the public feed except for the Duel, Inferno 2, Gauntlet 3, and The Island. So that leaves 8 seasons of content that you would be able to get access to in the $4 tier. So typically each season that we do is 3 episodes. I think Sexes 1 is 1 episode, but it's over 4 hours, I'm pretty sure. And then Battle of the Seasons 1 is 2 episodes. So 8 seasons in totals that you gain access to if you want to go and listen through the episodes as you watch along, especially now that it makes it a little bit easier with the Paramount Network to go back and be able to watch. So this is probably one of the big ones too. I probably kind of buried the lead here. All of our recaps for All-Star seasons for the Challenge All-Stars, which premiered today, will also be under the private feed. So you will get access to that under both tiers. And we plan on releasing that recap tonight. So when you sign up today, you will get access to the Duel 2 and the Challenge All-Stars, which will come out tonight. We also plan on doing some other bonus episodes here and there just to produce more content. We also plan to allow patrons to be able to vote on some content, so that could be involved with the bonus episodes. And then
Yep. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about like our top 6s particularly. So you'll be able to vote on the topics that we cover for top 6s and other content that will appear. But I know that's been a big request of a lot of people through email is, what top 6 are you doing next? Well, you're going to get to vote on that.
Yeah. And then we also, as part of that tier, we'll give you a patron shout out. We'll kind of give you credit for supporting the show in each of the episodes, or at some point in one of the episodes. And then the last item that you get with the $4 tier is access to a Discord server, which we set up. So once you sign up, I'll send you a link at some point. You click on the link and then are able to sign up to get access to our Discord server. So we tested this out right before we got on the call. For anyone that does this, it's much easier if you sign up for Discord before you receive the link from me. Rob and Trace both tried it. Trace was able to do it, but not easily. It definitely seems like this is a bug.
Painfully.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's a bug on Discord's end. So if you sign up for a server or an account first and then click on the link, it'll make your life a lot easier. And then I guess the real last item in the $4 tier is you get Rob's undying love and affection. So you can't really put a price tag on that, and you're getting that for $4.
Not at all.
The $12 tier, the interconsulate, you get everything in the first tier. You get access to video content, which we'll share through YouTube. You'll get my show notes, which we'll probably just put in like some type of Google Drive or something. We'll figure that out. And then we're also going to be putting together a challenge database. So in the survey that we did about a month ago, that was something that people really wanted. And Rob's working on that now, or is going to be working on that. That's not ready today, but that's something that will be ready soon. So $4 for the Rural Police tier.
And then for people,
$12 for the interconsulate. If there's any other ideas about different ways that you think we would be able to add value here and something that you would be interested in that we didn't necessarily list out, let me know. Send us a message at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com, and we'll try and make it happen, or we'll at least consider it. Go ahead, Trace.
Yep. The other thing that we've kind of talked about internally is for the $12 tier of the interconsulate. As we get into some sports seasons coming up, there may be opportunities for us to play some fantasy football or stuff together as well. That was a big request. So if you're interested in that with us and you can, get involved, we'll probably do that at some point here when the fall gets closer and have some fun and maybe even do challenge draft fantasy with you guys. So there's a lot of incentive and stuff that will come. We plan on introducing some other tiers down the road, but what we wanted to do is what we could manage to do right now. And we feel extremely confident that we're going to be able to provide the content and the value for which you guys are going to be paying for. So we didn't try to overextend ourselves here as we got started.
All right, cool. All right. So before we move on to talk about episode 16 of Double Agents, if you guys would join and become a patron, we'd really appreciate it. We definitely put a lot of time and effort into this, and we definitely still wanted to price this in a way that made it easily accessible to everyone. So episode 16, I thought this one was a slight improvement over last week. I definitely by no means didn't think that this was a great episode. I thought it was a little bit better.
The 1 hour runtime kept this from being
Seriously.
a bad episode.
I thought it was pretty significantly better than last week.
But it was significantly better than last week. I agree with both of you.
There was at least some level of unpredictability up until CT turncoats on Kyle for the thousandth time. So.
No, that was the absolute right move for CT and Kyle, though. I mean, everything worked out for them better than it possibly could have. And I'm not burying the lead right here. Production did not want to lose Kyle or CT, and they totally flopped that to a female elimination after the vote, guaranteed. And that's fine. They can manipulate the game. They didn't share that it was definitely a female day. They didn't share it was definitely a male day. But you cannot convince me that production was like, if we make this a female elimination day, we're guaranteed Kyle or CT in the final because of the rogue agent stuff. So let's do that.
I don't know if, they would be guaranteed to be one of them would be guaranteed to be anyways, because one would go home, the other would still be around. And I mean, the first week of the show started on a female day when the show was still even. So I don't think it being a female day was that we need to throw on our tinfoil hats that much for that.
So do you think that they'll try and make an attempt next week to somehow make it so every man is up for elimination, or do we think that CT is really in the final at this point?
I think he's just walking to the final.
That's
I don't think I think he's walking to the final. It's just getting whatever leftover partner there is. I mean, that's just how the format works out, though. Like, I don't think that's that bad.
Yeah.
Every other road game
I saw
skate for a week.
Yeah, like it was by far the best thing that could have ever happened to CT. So he made absolutely the right decision. We'll cover that later, but I want to put this out here because I've seen a lot of people saying Nani was nuts for not picking CT as her partner, and I disagree. She made the absolute right pick, as did Amber. Because think about this. Amber figured out she was at the bottom of the Big Brother Alliance. So what do? You chain yourself to the person at the top of the Big Brother Alliance in Fessy. So now she's guaranteed probably going to the final because there's no more female eliminations. But just to be safe, you make sure you're chained to the right horse and you know who you're running with. Nani, by picking Kyle, guarantees that Kyle, unless they win the daily next week, he's going in. Like, there's a zero question that Kyle is going to have to fight his way into the final. And it's probably going to be against Fessy if I had to guess, because Cam is not going to want to jeopardize that it's not some fluky thing.
Leroy and Casey win again. I mean, anybody could win. But
so
yeah,
she's probably going to end up with CT anyway then, right?
Exactly. That's my point. Regardless of what happens, unless the winner of the elimination picks her as their new partner, she's winding up with CT for the final, which is the absolute best thing for her game at this point.
Well, so the people's argument was that her alliance has been trying to keep CT out of the final, but like that's mostly just Leroy, really, right?
And
like
Cam.
I'm sure Cam or Nani would be happy to be. Well, but if Cam was paired with CT in the final, I'm sure she's fine with CT being in the final, right?
Leroy and Fessy want zero part of CT in that finals. Leroy said at the end, like, man, that was so stupid, because he realized now, like, man, my girl has now guaranteed CT a spot in the final. So he was not happy about that. But she had to do what she had to do for her. And it was absolutely the right play, because you don't want Kyle to be exempt from the final.
I think you just pick which, right? Yeah.
I definitely think Amber B.
I don't think it mattered that much. Really.
I definitely think Amber B made the right decision. That was like objectively the best decision that she could make.
But do you think there's even going to be another female elimination?
No.
I'd be really hard pressed to see there being. Then she should just pick who she wants to run the final.
Exactly.
With.
Because
that's not necessarily who she would be running the final with.
Because she can't. I think like if Leroy wasn't in the position that he was in, I think the best move would have been for her to pick Leroy. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, at that point, she just does want to pick whoever she wants to run the final with. Because
I don't think it matters that much.
Dude, they're really going to stretch this season out, aren't they? So are we thinking... So that's something that we haven't talked about. So this was episode 16. It seems like next week, episode 17 is going to be a normal episode. This is my assumption at this point. Episode 17 will be a normal episode. Episode 18 will be the final. And episode 19 will be one reunion. So this will be...
Are we sure it's not 2 episodes for the final?
It could be. And then it's possible. So it could be 2 episodes for the final.
It could be, especially if they keep it to 2 1-hour episodes. It's entirely possible it's a 2-part final, but instead of it being 90-minute episodes, it's just hour episodes.
They've been saying the entire time that it's been going to be a 19-episode season. We just keep assuming that the reunions count for that. I don't think. I don't see why we should.
It's possible that they don't. And
I mean, like in the standard episode order, is MTV expecting to get the same amount? Like, they're expecting for the same content to be for the reunion and the episodes? They're such different products.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, at that point, we will have had a 19-episode season. How long was Final Reckoning?
But they said they were going to do.
How long was Final
Reckoning? Was 20.
How long was Final Reckoning?
20, but they were only 1 hour.
80. Felt like 80.
It was 20 with 1 hour. So this one's going to end up having more overall content because we have the 90-minute episodes.
Yeah, for the majority of the season.
This is going to have to be the longest season,
like
just in total runtime by a lot, right?
So who?
Easily, yeah. There's no question.
No question, yeah.
So is it pretty much? It seems likely next week that Kyle will go in against Fessy, right?
Fessy is my guess.
Or it'll be a tie, or what's going to go on here? Let's look at the.
I don't know. I think it's just up in the air because
it depends on who wins the daily mission.
Does Cam really even care if her and Corey get voted in?
Yeah, that's a good point. If it's going to be a man's day automatically, yeah. So I mean, it seems like it'll be likely that it's Corey or Fessy.
I think it's Kyle going in against somebody, probably not Leroy.
Because let's think about it. It'll be Cam and Leroy really the only people that are voting together in that situation? Whereas
Nani too.
Okay, so Cam,
I think Nani just votes herself. Nani votes herself and Kyle in, basically.
Cam, Leroy, and Nani.
Yeah. That's her best move.
They're voting together. So we have 3 people that are voting together there. And then we have Casey, Cam, Fessy, Casey, Fessy, and then does Amber B vote for that with them?
I think it's just up in the air. I think this is a complete, like, anything can really happen, which is, makes for an actually hopefully exciting episode, unlike a lot of the stuff we've been getting. So
yeah, I think next week's ought to be interesting, at least politically. It might not be exciting, but it will be interesting politically to see it all shake out, because obviously this feels like a no duh, but whoever wins the daily will swing how this eliminations goes, because Kyle and Nani have to win, or Kyle, I should say, has to make sure they win to keep himself out of elimination, because otherwise he's going and his own partner's probably voting for him next week.
Is Nani just going to tank the mission then? Why does she even care if they win?
That's what I think might try to happen is she might try to put on a good performance and, do her best acting job. Like, she's trying really hard, but
it seems like she'd probably rather run the final with almost anybody besides Kyle, because she's been wanting to get Fessy, and you would assume she'd like to run it with Leroy, right? I mean, they have the partnership going all the way back. He's been very good this season.
I mean, I feel like she
probably so.
She said that she's not the biggest fan of Kyle or of Fessy at this point, and that she kind of regrets picking him as a partner.
She regretted picking him instead of Kyle, or sticking with Kyle. So who knows?
Fessy is like Ryan Fitzpatrick, where every team signs him, and then how Fitzpatrick had that stretch where he would get signed by a team, then they'd give him a massive money deal, and then he'd get cut 1 year into it. That's basically Fessy now.
Hey man, don't make fun of the new Washington football team's quarterback.
No, let's see if he's starting. Come on,
I'm excited about Fitzmagic. In all seriousness, though, right now, getting away from football, this final right now is wide open. Just the door is wide open.
Well, we just don't even know what the teams are going to be still. It's just still next week you'd assume there's going to be a lot of switching around.
That's what I'm saying, though. I feel like any combination of these teams of the people that are left, you could make a case they could win.
I think
a Nani Kyle team walking into the final, I'd be really skeptical of.
I would be the most skeptical of that team, and Kyle and Amber, I would be skeptical of that team. But I feel like everybody else, if you told me Corey and Cam won, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me Leroy and Casey won, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me CT and Nani won, I wouldn't be surprised. If it was Leroy and Nani, the different combinations of the possible things, the majority of the combinations, I would buy them as winning the final.
Who do you think? So let's assume Kyle goes in next week and then loses. If Nani can pick between, obviously there's the issue of the double agents and the man for the double agents not being able to be selected. But if you're Nani and you can pick any man on the cast, assuming that Kyle's going home, who would you pick?
CT.
What she would pick, or what I would pick if I was her? Man, that's such a hard one. I think I might take CT just because I don't trust Nani in puzzles, and CT is the only guy who I think is decent at them.
Yeah, Leroy has never been a great puzzle guy,
bad.
And so
Kyle's bad.
I would not want to run that with
Fessy
him.
Maybe
if
is not a disaster, but those other 3 guys are no hopers in puzzles.
Who do you think she would take?
I think she could. Do you think she would take Leroy? I think that's who she would want to run the most.
I don't know if she would do that to him.
Bad taking Casey from him.
Yeah.
I feel like they're close enough, and he has said repeatedly throughout the season that he wants to run the final with Casey. Like, he doesn't want to run the final even with his own girlfriend. He said, I want to run this with Casey.
But also, if she's not going to have that pick, it's going to be whoever beats Kyle who has the pick of which girl to take.
Say it again.
So whoever beats Kyle in that situation is going to have the pick. It's not going to be her. So if Fessy beats Kyle, it's Fessy's pick.
Oh, that is true. You're right.
I think if Fessy has the pick,
Amber, he might take.
Fessy has a pick. He's definitely taking Casey. I think there's no question if she's on the board.
Well, if Casey is a double agent, that won't happen. I think the more likely scenario is Fessy and Cam wind up together.
Okay, because he takes her after he wins.
Yeah,
but we can't just assume Leroy and Casey are going to win.
We can't just assume Leroy and Casey are going to win, but it to me looks like Cam is doing everything she can to keep Leroy as the double agent no matter what. Like, Cam is throwing missions or helping Leroy win missions because she knows she's not going into elimination.
Yeah, she's not going to go on a why not just keep Leroy with the best partner he has.
Yeah, so I think it's a safe assumption that Leroy and Casey are probably going to win the daily next week unless they just have a catastrophic failure, because you've got Cam throwing the missions toward him. Corey's going to keep his mouth shut and do what he's told, or he might go in elimination. Fessy, to me, becomes the odd person out. And so I think Fessy is going to go in against Kyle, and then if he beats Kyle, he's taking Cam.
It really is crazy. Casey and Leroy have won 3 out of the last 4 eliminations. And then I didn't even realize it until they brought it up multiple.
You mean dailies.
And I didn't realize it until TJ brought it up last night multiple times that they had won 5 missions this season.
5 is a lot, dude. And it's not like 5 in War of the Worlds 1 where 3 teams are winning. It's 5 and it's just them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is by far Leroy's best performance ever. Like game wise, politics wise, like he's going out with a bang, win or lose.
What would be the second? Is there even like a close second? I don't even think
War of the Worlds 2. Well, it's either that or Exodus 2. War of the Worlds 2 is just hard to tell because it's a team season, but he's on the team that wins like every mission. He's very good politically. And then Exodus 2 is more of like he just wins 3 eliminations and he dusts Johnny twice.
So,
or does he win 4 that season? No, he wins 4 because he beats Johnny twice. He beats Wes, and then he also beats
Zach.
No, it's not Zach. He beats. I think is it Adam and Brittany he beats, or is it? No, it's Johnny Riley and Avery that they beat.
Dude, Johnny Riley was one of the people from that era of the challenge that I just didn't need to see any more of. He was on like every season around then, and I just
wasn't on that.
Dude, he was
on Free Agents Exodus 2. He was on 3 seasons. He was on Free Agents Exodus 2 and Rivals 3.
He was on more than that.
No, he was. That's what it was.
Were they just all in a row?
Look it up. Well, they weren't even all in a row. Free Agents and Exodus 2 were back to back, and then he was on Rivals 3.
I just felt like he didn't provide like much value. Like he wasn't good physically. Like he wasn't really like good from like a political perspective.
He's just a jobber type competitor.
How can I not find this guy right now?
To me, he's just like a jobber. Like he's just somebody who's like in the middle range of the cast that you throw in there.
He was on Real World Portland, right? Yeah. So the same season as Jordan, which is kind of
he was on Portland with Marlon.
Random when you consider how many seasons Jordan has been on. So yeah, you're right. He was on Free Agents,
Marlon,
Exodus 2, Rivals 3. He has earned $35,000 in total. Where did he? Oh, so he finished in Free Agents.
He got second on Free Agents.
Jesus. And somehow,
I mean, he's just
he never got in the draw. Like that was the thing is he always drew the kill. He never drew the kill card on Free Agents.
That's why I really don't like the Free Agents format, honestly, because there's so many people. You don't even have to do anything politically. Like you competitively, you can just not win missions and it's fine. And then if politically, you can also not even have to politic and it's fine if you just don't pull the kill card.
The duel is really a great format. After we just watched Duel 2 this last week, the person that is voted in, them being able to call out anyone that they want beside the people that won the mission, I think there's just something.
It keeps everybody involved.
Yeah, there's something about it that seems a little bit more just, right? That you just can't necessarily like skate by on like your political leanings. And not necessarily that I think that being strong politically is skating by, but it just seems like it just adds a different enjoyable dynamic.
I mean, it's not even the politics with free agents. Free agents is literally just Cara Maria gets the bad draw and keeps pulling the freaking kill card. Whereas with him, Johnny Riley, he's just walking up and pulling blank cards every time. He's not even winning that many missions. He's just pulling blank cards. Well, I think we need to move back towards the beginning of this episode, though. I thought the mission was really fun. The only issue is I did really feel like Leroy and Casey had a massive advantage by going twice.
Yeah. Well, they only won by 1 point too, which is crazy, right? So I think
they screwed it up. I think that they should have put it as Kyle and Amber B and then CT and Big T. They're defense in one heat, and then they're on offense with them in the other heat. Because then when they're on offense and you guys are on, they're also like, when those three are on offense, then the two teams are aligned with just block the other two teams, and they can have yeah. And then the other round, you would have the three of them on offense, and then the other two of those guys on defense, and one of your teams is running free at least.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I thought that would have been a better move.
So I liked this mission, and I think they need to do. So when they make missions, I think they kind of lean towards like doing stunts, right? That's kind of what they do. I feel like a lot of the time
they make it look good for the trailer. Yeah, that definitely these past 2 seasons, that's been their primary focus.
And I think I would need to think about this a little bit more. This popped into my head last night when I was watching this. Something that I think is like more enjoyable. So that looks good for the trailer, right? And I think what looks good for the trailer isn't necessarily what's enjoyable to watch when you're consuming the show in real time.
No, not at all.
And I think what's more enjoyable to watch in the show in real time is when they make up their like own games and sports, right? Like this. This was like a game in and of itself. And I think those often are more engaging and interesting than them just jumping off of a plane, right? There's not much going on there. There's no strategy. There's no...
Oh, definitely.
Like it's super repetitive. It's drawn out. I don't think maybe once I thought, man, they need to wrap this up. Whereas in all the other challenges where it's just one person after another, I'm thinking that constantly.
Yeah, it's pretty quick too. It's only 2 heats, then you're out of here. Like you can move through it pretty quickly. And like I think there's definitely a middle ground they can play where the stunts can still like look decent, but also be entertaining to watch. Right? I don't see why it seems like those things work in opposition so often.
I don't know.
I think the War of the Worlds 1 missions were super great for the trailer, but they were also really well done missions. I even think the War of the Worlds 2 missions were pretty good for the most part, and also like fine for the trailer. But these past 2 seasons have just been terrible with that.
Yeah, the one where the
Fast and Furious tie-in last year was pretty
so
brutal.
for War of the Worlds 2, the Benedict Laurel episode where they roll the ball down the hill, that was a great mission.
Yeah, that was a great mission.
Yeah,
for any number of reasons.
But a lot of them were great missions. You had the incoming like we haven't even gotten that many of like the one that they're in the mud pit and then they're like wrestling for the balls with your teammates.
What was the one where
World War II they're a little bit more constrained because they all have to be team missions.
What was the one where remember that like wheel that like spun around and they had to undo the locks? Is that what it was?
Oh, that was the second episode.
That one was really good.
Yeah, and then the UK team cheated because they.
I liked the one with the airplane they did.
Yeah,
that one was good.
So, do you think it makes it?
Oh yeah, where they were sliding back and forth. Yeah, and then World War II, the second mission they had, that's where the UK team cheated and pulled off the lock instead of getting the code.
So, do you think it makes it?
Yeah, but see, I think you look back at those 2 seasons. That's pretty recent, and all those missions I remember. Like, I don't remember there even being that many bad missions, and the trailers were fine.
So, do you think it makes it easier for them to do more enjoyable missions when it's a team format?
No, but you can do a team format like almost any time. I don't think that. I don't think that's what it is. I think sometimes it helps to have a team mission, but I don't think that's a must.
Yeah, I would need to think about it more. Because you almost get a little bit of the repetitive nature when you don't have the team formats because you have to go through the different heats if you want to do.
Well, I think that's what it is, but that's even in team formats they do that all the time. Like any of the lifesavers type seasons where they would have you could win a life shield, they would do the turns. I think that's what it is mostly for me. I think you need to move more towards missions where everyone, or at least like half or a third of the cast are competing at once, and then and not just have the turns. Turns takes too long. You're also just not seeing the people interact at all. Like I think everybody going at once is way better.
Agreed. So what did we think about the dynamic between Amber B and Casey this episode?
I thought it was ridiculous.
On whose part?
Like I don't know what does she expect with Amber B?
You thought it was
like I think Amber B was just naive.
Yeah.
Like I mean, to be straight up, what did she think was going to happen?
Was going to happen? Cam's going to get voted in by Leroy. Yeah. Like what are we talking about?
I think. I think she should have just assumed that that's what was going to happen. But at the same time, I don't blame her for trying.
Sure, but I think like her and her confession was getting all mad at Fessy for blocking her ball when they're rolling around. Like, what are we doing? Come on, dude. He's at least playing the game on like half the cast this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, come on, like, what do you really think Fessy's going to throw this to help you? Like,
what would even be like the? Because if he does that, he's probably getting voted in at that point. Like, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, dude, he's got to try.
And that was pretty much what came from the conversation that Casey had with Fessy when they were pretty much like Amber B's being delusional. So what do you think about Fessy's reaction when Amber B selected him as a partner after she won Hall Brawl? Fessy looked like he got shot, which
he was not happy.
I don't know.
That.
Like
I think
I'd rather probably have. I'd rather have Amber B as a partner than Nany, or it's at least close. You know what I mean? I don't think he should have.
I think there's an unpredictability, maybe because like there's a 0.5% chance that Amber B is just really good, whereas with Nany we kind of know she's just around average. I mean, if you're him, you just have to be thinking like,
does he want to go in next week?
You just want like Cam.
Does he want to go into elimination?
Yes.
I think if it's the right thing, like if he sees Hall Brawl down there again, like I don't think it's like or just like I don't know.
I think we're gonna get pole wrestle
probably.
Like
probably
week.
Is pole wrestle.
Yeah.
If we get pole wrestle down there, and I mean everybody left is good, so he's not gonna have an easy spot. But if it's like Kyle, do you think there's any chance he just calls his number so he can take Casey if she's available?
Definitely. If Casey is available and he has the ability to put himself in, he would be like idiotic to not do that. I think he would do that.
Like let's say Cam and Corey win and Kyle gets voted in and then he just gets a shot. But then does Cam put himself there? Because if Cam
she knows that he would take
puts
Casey.
Him in, then she knows he would take Casey. I think he'd probably have to be the house vote at that point, but that's playing really risky business.
Well, I don't think that'll happen. I think Cam's gonna just have to risk the Leroy losing.
I guess if
Casey
he just wins,
because she can't risk losing Leroy because she's not gonna put Leroy in, of course.
If he wins though, and he wants to put himself in, Amber B probably would vote to not put him in, right?
And then we just see what happens, I guess.
That's why I think Fessy's throwing the mission next week.
Well, why would he throw it? I don't see why he would throw it. I would think if he wins, he has control.
Because he doesn't want to be the double agent. Like you don't want to have to negotiate with a partner who wants to keep you, and so you hope that Cam or Leroy win. Your ultimate hope is that Cam and Corey win, and there you go. And then he can steal Cam. Corey goes with either Nany or Amber, and
I think he tries to win. I think because then he just has the power to do what he wants. And even if Amber B doesn't want to put himself in, okay, but there's no guarantee he wants to put himself down there. What if he sees the elimination that Big TV Denise in?
What do you think they do in that situation where the double agents can't agree?
When it's a tie? Who knows? I think they just badger them until Amber B eventually changes her vote or something. Like I don't know. I think. And we haven't had a tie vote in a while, it seems like.
I think probably what happens.
We have not had a tie vote all season.
I think probably what happens is they bring Johnny Mosley out from the side of the set, and he just comes out there, and he just stares at them right in the eyes until one of them makes a decision.
Because like
holding the whistle.
Yeah, because like last season, we didn't have any tie votes in the house vote, from what I recall. Season before War of the Worlds 2.
No, they were all so miserable. They were all agreeable with each other for the most part.
War of the Worlds 2, there really wasn't the opportunity for that because the tribunal was always only 3. Mm-hmm. And then...
that and half the UK team was working with Polly, Cara, Leroy, Cam.
More than half.
There was really no mystery to any vote. after Johnny Bananas was gone, there was never a mystery to any vote the rest of the season.
What's unfortunate is
Josh still gets voted in at one point.
Well, that was only because of the purge with the
when Turbo is the leader of the tribunal, they vote him in against Bear.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of question, but not
what's
much.
Unfortunate.
And then War of the Worlds 1, Hunter at one point
before...
tries to tie the vote, but Georgia doesn't let him. So it's just been a while since they've had to sort that out. I'd be curious what they do. They don't seem to be very good at that, of having a pre-planned thing for when that happens.
It's unfortunate.
They're very much in the play it by ear camp.
It's unfortunate at this point that it seems unlikely that we will ever get Paulie and Johnny on the same season again.
It's probably true. We only really had one season of them going at each other at all, too, which is interesting. Because I really think that this taste between the two of them is as strong as like between anybody who's been casted in the past few seasons.
I think there is a bigger chance of Paulie being back on the regular challenge than Johnny Bananas at this point.
I would agree.
I don't think that's a bad call.
Yeah.
I think Johnny is going to concentrate on All-Stars moving forward because he has too many other outside projects. He can't be gone for 10 weeks.
Is Paulie going to be like... If Paulie comes back, is it going to be like CT on Rivals? Like, what do we expect the reaction to be?
I hope he comes back. I needed a break from him, but at this point, I would prefer that.
Yeah. I feel like most of the cast doesn't care.
I think some of the cast would have a reaction to him being back. He certainly would have a reaction to him being back. I think the past 2 seasons are much better if he's on them.
I agree. I needed a break from him, though. I would want him to come back. I needed a break from... I don't even know if it's...
I needed a break from both.
I needed a break from Kara. That's what I
think that's a break. And now
I think it was...
But like, was Total Madness good?
If Paulie's on it, it's definitely better. I did not need to see Kara last season, though.
I think that they both... I'm here for, honestly, anybody who's trying to win and is going to do it. He's one of me the best at weeding the line between playing to win, obviously, but then also like causing, like when we talk about like good gameplay not always equaling good TV, Paulie's not in that camp. He's playing hard and he's also creating this constant
because we had a ton of people on this season that just, there really wasn't much of a point for them to be there, like Joseph Allen, right? Like how much is he
like every season pretty much has those filler
I would prefer that they weren't there, right? And we didn't have those on the US team for War of the Worlds too. You know what I mean? There were no people like that.
The most stacked team.
Faith was there for 2 episodes. I actually like Faith, but yeah, she didn't.
I would just prefer that they get to a point where it's more competitive from top to bottom. I think that's much more entertaining to watch.
I don't think that's the issue, though. I think this one, it was just the way the season played out that the Cam, Leroy, Nani alliance has controlled basically from the beginning. They've been paired up in a way where them and the Big Brother group just have been locked down on all the votes. They've won the eliminations that they've been in, so they've been able to stick around. And then, with the Skulls format, you just have the problem where some people want to go and some people don't. When that's the case, votes get really easy sometimes.
So you don't think it's more entertaining when better people are on the show?
Oh, no, I don't. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I think with this season, it's not really the cast as much as just the way the format shook out for why there's been some slow parts.
There's always slow parts, though. And I'm previewing Duel 2. I finished the Duel 2 season last night. There's a giant whopper of a dud episode towards the end. It's terrible. And it's sad because everything leading up to that episode was excellent. But you get to that one episode and it's just like, oh, this is bad.
I think, War of the Worlds 1 has one episode, I would say, that's a slow down. But everything else for that season's pretty action-packed. I just think it's like you see it with almost any of these reality competition shows, even seen in sports, actual live sports sometimes. There's just sometimes where stuff shakes out, and people don't have as much incentive to try, or there's a very clear indication of what's going to happen. There's a lot of times we get the equivalent of when a team is locked up the 1 seed in the NBA and is just resting its starters for its last 3 games. That's just kind of what's going on with some of these episodes.
Or week 17, or I guess what will be week 18 in the NFL next year.
That's just what happens sometimes. So,
would you qualify this season as a quote unquote good season?
Yes,
I would think it's good. For me, the thing is with these seasons too, it's so much of it's just what like talking about it. And this season, with the fact that partners can switch around at any time, with the fact that it's pretty even competitively all around. Like going into the final last season, we felt like Johnny had an edge on everybody just because he had such an experience edge on the rest of those guys. And then Jenny at that point walking into the final, I thought had a pretty clear athletic advantage on the other three women. This season's not like that. This season's just so much more competitive throughout. Feels like anybody can win. Feels like any week, like we might know who's going to go into elimination going into the episode, but we don't know who's going to come out of it partnered with who. So that's at least a different question to have.
And that's one thing that I give production a lot of credit on this format with, because it really did level the playing field competitively with the ability to switch partners. And it made people like CT have a harder time dominating certain things because he had Big T, which helped him in a couple missions, but it really hurt him in other missions like last night's. So it really did help that, but it also gave people the ability, well, if you go win an elimination, you can change your partner. And it's like, oh, well, that's good to hear. So kind of like you said, like I love the fact that right now, I really can't tell you who's going to win this final. There's a couple edit clues that made me think one way, but then by the end of the episode, I didn't think that way anymore. So I legitimately have no idea who's going to win the season. Like if I had to, in our power rankings, put money on a male contestant right now, my money would probably be evenly split 50-50 on CT and Leroy at this point.
I give a side edge to CT, but I can see where you're going with that.
Let's
the edit they gave Leroy these last couple episodes.
Well, but he's just like, winning missions.
I wouldn't call it the edgic. I wouldn't call it the edgic edit, but they're really either setting him up for that storybook ending or that agony of defeat ending. It's one of the two.
There's just sometimes though with the edit, like when somebody wins 5 missions, they're just gonna be they just have to be portrayed a certain way because they've won 5 missions. You know what I mean? Like that's not an edgic thing at that point. That's just
they're showing them what occurred. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's before we do power rankings, let's eulogize Big T real quick.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh, we haven't talked about this yet.
Yeah. Man, I felt bad for her, dude. She's getting call brawl, really? Like, they can't.
I want to push that to the side for a second. What might be the greatest montage in the history of the challenge happened last night with Eye of the Tiger playing, CT getting her out of bed at 5 a.m. and putting her through a workout, and he's outside sipping coffee wrapped up in that huge blanket.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My wife, who doesn't hate the challenge, but she doesn't like the challenge. She's very indifferent, but she will watch it with me occasionally. She thought that was one of the funniest things she's ever seen in her life. And she's like, whoever produces this show nailed it last night.
The challenge can pull off a montage. You have to give them credit for that at least.
Man, like Eye of the Tiger in Big T training, it just was perfect.
Do you think he was doing that? Like, what percentage of him do you think was doing that to actually try and prepare Big T for a final, like seemingly days before they're going to do the final? And what percentage of that do you think was him just like giving like a TV moment because he knows that they're going to like that he's putting that on a tee for the editors?
I think it's partially a TV moment. I also think it's partially showing her that he wants her to be able to win, that he cares enough to put the effort in. I mean, he has to wake up too. He might have to work out, but he's also like making the effort of like, hey, I'm going to, help you with this. So what? I think so.
But yeah, no, eulogizing Big T. I think the training montage is how I will remember Big T from this season. She was a good sport. My wife even said this because she watched the whole episode with me, which never happens usually. She said, like, Big T just has a positive attitude. And if you've got to get stuck in Iceland for 8 weeks, she's the type of person you want on the show because she's like, you don't worry about actually fighting with Big T.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
she's just.
I think that's a great legacy for this season for her.
Yeah. She has to be back, right?
Yeah. I mean,
if she wants to be back.
Oh, easily. There's no question.
If she wants to be, maybe she doesn't want to.
She's gonna be back, but do you want her to be back?
I do. Yeah, I think she's a fun. She's just a nice like break from what other people bring.
Yeah, and
I always appreciate somebody who has their own type of character arc, like somebody who's actually unique in that regard. And I don't think that. Yeah, I think she's definitely fits that mold.
I mean,
like
so
there's not many people who sort of are portrayed the way she.
If you told me that they would bring someone else that's more competitive on the show in her place, I'd probably want that person. But if they're just going to bring another person in that's cannon fodder and that is probably going to be out soon, I would probably want Big T just because of the personality.
And it also just depends on the format of the season too. Like, you know, I mean, if it's a free agent / duel type format, Big T's not going to last long. Like, she's just going to be cannon fodder. But if it's something like a team season or something like this where she can, you know, get some level of protection and she's going to stick around, then it's worth it to me.
Okay. All right. Let's do power rankings. I don't know if anything's really changed here.
For me, I think it might have a tiny bit, but I don't know much.
I have to change mine, unfortunately.
Was our bet Big T versus Casey? Yeah. Was that just for the final? I don't recall.
That was just for the final. Yeah. Yes, I made that very apparent.
If they both make the final, that was since that is now moot, that bet is gone. It's a push. I'll go ahead and go. I'm gonna say that for the men, at this point with the teams where they are right now, I have to go CT, Leroy, and Corey of all people, just because of who the partners are. On the female side, I think it lines up. Man, am I really going to put her first? I don't want to, but I have to. If CT, I guess I have to go Nani, Casey, and Cam, just on who I think the partners might shake up. If she's paired with CT, which is not a given right now, I think there's like a
25% chance she's paired with CT. I don't see why that's like anywhere near.
In my head, I am looking at it like Leroy and Casey will probably win the daily next week, and Fessy is going to go in against Kyle, and Fessy is going to pick Cam, which really means I should put Fessy third instead of Corey. So I'll do that. Fessy instead of Corey at third on the men's side. And so then if that all shakes out, then it's going to be CT and Nani versus Leroy and Casey versus Fessy and Cam versus Corey and Amber, which they will be a distant fourth. So that's
really
how I see that
shaking yourself out. Here.
I am. I'm going way forecasting here, and I'm probably wrong, but that's what I'm going with. So I'll say Nani, Casey, Cam, overall power rankings. Because I don't know how the partners are going to shake out, I think the three men are my top three power rankings, because I think it's going to be the combo, and I just don't have. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to go the men as my top three, even though I don't like it.
What's been the mix up with Trace's rankings week by week here, Devin?
All over. Like last week. Last week was all Leroy, Corey, Kyle. This week, CT, Leroy, Fessy. So I mean, just.
Well, the partners have changed. So
much. I just think you have variables. I really barely pay mind to the partners, honestly, when I'm making rankings. I just pick.
And see, I do. I think you have to go with the evidence you have in front of you and your gut.
Yeah, but then you've changed on your rankings 7 times.
I know. So that's.
I know, because the partner
That's
switch.
What I was thinking about. I was thinking about when he made his predictions, if you would be better off like completely forgetting what you did the week before. You know what I mean? And then just like.
I mean, I don't take into account much I did the week before. I also just don't take into account where the partners stand. Now as we're coming really close to the final.
Partners definitely have
But then it's just like when you have this few people, though, too, one person switching partners switches around half the teams.
And I think that's why.
So I think I can't pay any mind.
I don't think I've paid attention to what the partners are until this week. I think this is probably going to be the first time that I actually think about that a little bit when we do this.
I've pretty much never paid attention to them.
And see, that's where I have based my power rankings for the most part each week, is based on what I think the partner roulette wheel looks like. So that's where my logic, if you call it logic, is coming from.
All right. So for mine, I'll have CT1 for the guys. I'll go Corey 2, Leroy 3.
Do we have a bet on that?
On what?
Leroy Corey?
Corey? No.
I don't think we have any bet on Corey. Do we have a Corey versus Fessy bet?
No one wants to bet on Corey right now.
I'll bet on Corey versus Fessy in a final.
We already have that.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I thought I was
going to say.
Okay, there is.
I'll leave it out there until before the final. I'll do Leroy versus Corey if you want to do that.
No, I feel pretty even about the two of them. That's not a strong lean.
I was about to say, other than our fantasy points, the only other bet I'm involved in is the field versus Mark Long and Kellyanne and like Darrell.
It's Mark Long, Kellyanne, Ruthie, Darrell, Derek. You're the field on that bet. So you're just like the prayers up that Letarian is going to pull this one out, I guess.
Hey man, Cyrus for the win.
Yeah, Cyrus says he's here to. Cyrus just says he expects to win, so he expects Trace to win the bet, I guess. And then
I hope so.
Yeah, for the woman, I'll go Casey 1, Amber B 2. That's just between Nani and Casey for third. I'll go Nani 3.
Wait, so you're going Cam, Amber B. Dude, what is your issue with Casey? This is insane, dude.
And you say my picks are strange. That
is insane.
I just really don't think she's gonna win.
But the thing is that like you don't even have her in your top 3.
Yeah, I know.
All right, next Rob. Overall.
And then overall, I'll go CT1, Cam 2. I'll go Amber B3, I guess.
So you think...
I feel most strongly about CT1, Cam 2.
Yeah, when did you flip that around? You started to do that last week. Up until then,
That I put Cam ahead, CT ahead of Cam?
Up until then, you had Cam is number 1 every single week.
Really? Every week? I thought I had Darrell 1 at one point.
Yeah, you did it for a little bit. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Until...
Yeah. Oddly enough, I think Cam's odds of winning have dropped throughout the season just based on the way she's playing and also the way the partners are going to shake out.
Well, we just don't know. We have zero clue how the partners are going to shake out. What if she ends up with CT?
I mean, it could be an individual final for all I know, but right now I'm going with the assumption that the partners they enter the final with is how they run.
I would too, but what if she ends up with CT as her partner?
There's no chance of that happening.
Why?
There's no chance Cam winds up with CT unless they do something funky after next week's elimination.
Well,
because there's literally no combination where anyone's going to leave Cam without a partner. They're either going to pick Cam as their partner or Cam is a double agent, which I doubt, or Cam is staying with Corey. There's not going to be, I mean, whoever wins the male elimination, they're picking Cam, is my opinion.
Well, they don't think, I think some of them would take Casey over.
I agree.
I think Leroy would stay with Casey, and I think Fessy would pick Casey.
Especially because at this point, you're picking a partner for the final. That's all that you're doing at this point. It's not like you have any really like... Mm-hmm. Most likely, alliances will play a small factor in the rest of the season.
If any.
So you're going to go CT, Cam, Amber B?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go... I think mine are going to... I'll go with the women first. I'll go Casey and Cam. Casey, Cam, and then who's left for the women? Amber B and Nani. I mean, I don't feel strongly about either one of them, I guess. I'll go Amber B. And then for the men, definitely have Leroy 1. And then I'm in between CT and Fessy for 2, 3. I'll go CT, Fessy, and then overall, I'll go same as last week, Casey, Cam, Leroy. Okay. So, anything else we want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, I think we got to get rolling.
We're really excited about Challenge All-Stars. I know I am. I'll say that for me. I am really excited to watch Challenge All-Stars and start recapping that for the Patreon.
Yeah, so none of us have watched that yet. We're going to watch that tonight and then release that for the Patreon feed tonight too. Yeah, so we'd love if you'd become a patron. You can do that at Trace. What's the address?
The patreon.com/the Challenge Chronicles. By sometime in the next 48 hours, you will be able to get to it directly from thechallengechronicles.com, but that is not live as this is posted. So to ensure that you can get to our Patreon, go to patreon.com/the Challenge.
Yeah. And so if you'd be able to go over there, become a patron, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us just, I guess, keep this going and get more content. If you want to leave us.
And we'll be adding other tiers and new stuff later too. So, there will be more stuff coming down the road as well. So just come hang out with us, hang out on Discord. I've already installed it on my phone and on my machine. So if you guys start interacting on Discord.
Yeah. We definitely want to make this worthwhile for everyone. You can still always send us an email at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com. We'll definitely prioritize like people that are patrons and being able to like message us through there. I think we have that set up too. So if you become a patron, you'll get the Challenge All-Stars recap tonight. You'll also get the Duel 2 tonight. And then you'll still be able to listen to us like throughout the rest of the season, talk about the regular episodes of the show. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again next time. Bye.